Hello, welcome to tonight's Thursday Live. How are you all the week? How has the whole day been? It feels like it's since we actually met. I want to start with a story. Albert Einstein was once asked why he was so forgetful. He would forget names. He would forget numbers. He'd forget appointments. He would even forget basic things people thought he should remember. And his response was, "Why should I memorize something I can go look up in a book?" Now, most people hear that and think, genius, different rules. But there's something deeper here. Einstein wasn't protecting his memory. He was protecting his mental energy, his mental capacity. And today, most people are doing the opposite. Today, I want to talk about something that is relevant and important for all of us. Because whether you're still in your 20s, 30s, or already in your 60s, 70s, memory is one of the biggest problems, biggest fears, and also the easiest things to fix. Alzheimer's, dementia, all these little problems with your memory don't start in your 60s and 70s. They start in your 30s. So whatever age you are at right now is the time to pay attention and to take care of your brain health. It's something that almost everyone experiences, but very few people properly understand. Whether it's brain fog, memory lapses, lack of clarity. What's frustrating is many of you have had tests done. Maybe you've had scans, maybe you've had blood tests, and they've come back normal. So you're told everything looks fine. It's probably aging. It's probably because you have this medication or something else, a bit of stress. But you don't feel fine. So how is that okay? How is that fine? So today I want to explain what's actually going on, and more importantly, what your brain really needs. So why do we feel foggy, even when our tests are normal? Let's start there. Brain fog is not a diagnosis. It's a signal. And most tests don't pick up what's really causing it. Because brain fog is often linked to low brain energy, poor blood flow, unstable blood sugars, chronic stress, inflammation, a lack of recovery. How many of those sound familiar to you? Which means it's not necessarily a structural disease. One of the most important shifts in modern neuroscience, and something Louisa Nicole talks about, she's an expert in cognitive decline, is this. Cognitive decline and brain dysfunction often begin decades before anything shows up on scans, before it shows up on blood tests. So if you're feeling foggy, it's not random. It's your brain saying, I don't have the resources I need. Imagine trying to read a book in a room where the light is flickering. You'd struggle to focus, right? You'd lose your place, you'd get frustrated. But the problem wouldn't be your reading ability. It's the power supply. So that's exactly what's happening with brain fog. The real issue is brain energy. It's the part that most people don't understand. Your brain uses more than 20% of your body's energy. And most people are underfueling it. Or even worse, giving it poor fuel. It's incredibly energy hungry. So imagine all of the thinking that we're doing. Thousands of thoughts going through our head. If you're studying, if you're trying to learn something, it needs energy because it's working so hard. It needs blood flow. So when we're stressed, we're shutting off parts of our brain to conserve energy because your body thinks, I'm in danger. So there's no point keeping all these creative parts of my brain free. And then you go into work and you're expected to do something creative. You're expected to widen your mind to help with all of these situations. But you haven't fueled your brain and the stress has turned off all of those parts. So then, how are you going to focus? How are you going to have the clarity? So when the energy supply to your brain is unstable or insufficient, it's no wonder you're going to experience brain fog, poor memory, slow thinking, low focus. This is why you can feel mentally exhausted even when you haven't done much physically. Because it's not about effort. It's about energy availability. Brain fog is often an energy crisis, not a thinking problem. You're not slowing down. You haven't become dumber. There's nothing wrong up here. But it's how you're fueling it. So what actually improves memory and the brain fog, brain confusion? There's a story about early sailors navigating at sea. They wouldn't lose their way because they couldn't read the stars. They lost their way when the sky was too cloudy. It stopped them from being able to see clearly and to see the stars. The stars were still there, but their ability to navigate depended on clarity. And your brain works the same way. You have all of the connections, you have all the memory, you have all of the things working properly, but you haven't allowed the right energy to be able to tap into all of that. I want to clear up a big misconception that's out there and that I hear so often. Most people try to improve memory from a place of frustration. Same goes for brain fog. You get so agitated, so frustrated, then, okay, let me reach for all these supplements. Let me just try harder. Let me sit for longer and keep trying to focus. I'll drink coffee, I'll take all of those supplements. I'll do games and I'll do puzzles, and that will help it, that will do it. I'll smash through. But memory doesn't improve through effort alone. It improves when the brain is supported properly. Research shows that what actually helps memory is a stable quality energy supply. Good quality or deep sleep. Getting those REM cycles in. Getting movement. Notice I didn't say exercise. We have this real about exercise. But if we just call it movement, that can be anything from jumping on a rebounder to going out for a walk. But something that just gets your heart pumping a little bit more so the blood flows up to the brain. Something that creates resistance, for example, taking bands and just stretching, putting your muscles under a bit of pressure and tension. This doesn't require you to get a gym membership, go for long runs and hikes. This is all things our body was made to do, but we've just deconditioned. Getting proper nutrition. getting all of those vitamins, minerals, the trace elements. So many people, again, have a really poor diet and think that the supplements will cure having a poor diet. No, because the food that you're eating that is not quality is damaging the gut lining so that even those supplements will not be absorbed properly and you're just creating expensive pee. So get proper nutrition from natural sources. It doesn't mean having to eat piles and piles of salads and green juices. But there's a few key elements that you should have in your diet. The variety, the colors. And finally, probably one of the second most important things to sleep is stress reduction. Because that's the umbrella that affects all areas of your brain, your health. Louisa Nicola, that I mentioned earlier, emphasizes that movement, nutrition, lifestyle, these are some of the most powerful tools we have to protect and improve brain function for the short and long term. 80%, if not more, of the damage that happens to the brain, the things that lead to Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, all the other types of dementia, are due to lifestyle things that are reversible, not genetics. People get so hung up on genetics, but actually, for many of these things, that's a small portion. So much so that Alzheimer's is being called type 3 diabetes. Because your insulin and sugar have such a high impact on your brain that it can cause Alzheimer's. So you see, it's less about genetics and more about what you're doing every single day. What are the things that don't work long term? All the stimulants, including caffeine, including all of the supplements that you might be taking, pushing through fatigue, ignoring stress, ignoring emotions. I shared yesterday a quote: the harder you push the emotions down, the harder they will come back to get you. Which means to say, you can push them down all you want. At some point, they're going to come back, and not just as the emotions that you push down, as symptoms in the body, as doubled up emotions that you can't understand and you get more stressed about. One of my hated phrases, I don't say hate very often, but one of my pet peeves is when somebody is grieving and they're told, you've got to be strong. Strong for what? Strong for who? Strong for yourself, sure, but that strength comes from allowing that emotion out. Most people that would say that are actually the ones that are uncomfortable dealing with that kind of emotion. They see someone crying, they see somebody upset, and they can't deal with that. So when they say you've got to be strong, that's probably the thing they need to hear more. But putting that on somebody who's grieving, who's struggling with emotions, is more detrimental to them. And all of that gets stored up here, gets stored in here, and is like that pressure. So ignoring stress and emotions is going to cause more harm in the long term. And finally, relying on willpower. Again, so many plans, so many of these programs ask you to rely on willpower. Show up every day, cut out all of the sugars and everything. Go and exercise hard, but just rely on your willpower. Just get up and push. How long is that going to last? So you don't improve your brain and your memory by forcing it. You improve by fueling it, by doing small things consistently. With my clients, I don't ask them to make drastic changes. We do small steps, but we do them consistently. We build the habits, the routines, that then create the identity of a different person who approaches their health, their life in a different way. Because those small tweaks is basically what's happened over the years. We were born pristine, but small things, the way people speak to us, the care that we're given, environmental factors, have tweaked us to become the person we are today. It didn't just happen like this. You didn't just wake up one day and have all of these aches and pains. It happened gradually. And that's what we do to reverse it. We gradually reverse it. Yet most of us want to have that instant fix. I wish I got £100 for every time someone asked me for the magic pill to heal everything. We know it doesn't exist, yet there's that little bit of hope that maybe now it's there. If we put enough attention and effort, the same amount that we put into ignoring our health, pushing our emotions down, eating all of the other rubbish food, if we put that same amount of energy into just switching our habits and doing the healthier things, can you imagine what this would be and feel like? Just those tiny, tiny tweaks. They're all just little decisions that we choose. I want to come on to something that surprises a lot of people. Creatine. That's getting a lot of hype these days, especially in the gym industry. Muscle building, the workouts. And most people think creatine is just for muscles, for bodybuilders, for getting all of that shape. Surprisingly, it's not. Creatine plays a key role in brain energy production. It helps regenerate something called ATP, your cell's energy currency. It supports the neurons when they're under stress. And it improves cognitive performance in most cases. It improves memory and mental performance. It supports recovery when you've been sleep deprived or jet lagged. And it can potentially help against cognitive decline. So why? Because it comes back to energy. If the brain doesn't have enough clean energy, it cannot function optimally. So creatine isn't just for these muscles. It's for fuel for your brain, which is also a muscle in some states. So come now as we close to those simple shifts that you can take. And I want to keep this very practical. Here's 4 simple shifts that make a real difference. Number 1, stabilize blood sugar. Avoid those constant spikes and crashes. Don't allow yourself to go long periods of time without having some good fuel. So if you've had a high carb meal, you know that you're going to crash. And then you're going to be hungry or hangry, and then you're going to eat something not so healthy, get some loads of sugar in you again, which gets you spiking high and then crash again. Instead, focus on protein and fiber with your meals. Reduce the constant snacking. Even add in healthy fats, because your brain can work really well on ketones. Reduce the caffeine, because this will give your brain stable energy. Now I say that if you feel like you really want to have a coffee, have some mushroom coffee. What that does is it has nootropics, a fuel for your brain that's much steadier than just coffee. It makes all of the positive effects of coffee last longer without you having this drop, the spike in caffeine and then the big crash. And it also prevents you staying up late at night. I'll share in the comments below one of the cleanest mushroom coffees that I can recommend. Second, prioritize deep sleep. So many people, again, they'll go into bed, they'll have their screen with them in bed, whether it's on their phone or they're watching some TV, and it helps you to relax, I understand, and it helps you to switch off. But all of that has told your brain it's not time to sleep, it's not dark outside. Because you've had all of those lights and inputs. And not to mention, most of the time, the things that we're watching are stimulating for the brain. I can guarantee most of the things are not some Blue Planet animal shows, it's action. Because we want to escape the world around us, the stress that's going on. If we get into some action on TV, we see somebody else struggling or overcoming all of these things, it makes us feel good. It builds our dopamine. But it also means our body gets the wrong signals about sleep. So as much as having magnesium, cooling the room, taking some sleep tea, all of these things calm the body. If you don't allow the mind to calm, then your sleep is not going to go as deep and it's not going to get into the detox and recovery stages, which means your memory suffers and your clarity also struggles. Third tip, move your body. Walking, resistance training. Do it several times a day, different things. Don't sit, don't be stagnant. Keep that blood flow moving. Every hour, get up and do something. Do some squats. You can do that right next to your chair if you're in an office environment. Do some star jumps, jump up and down, something to just get the blood flowing again and get it up into the brain. And then finally, number 4, reduce cognitive load. I spoke about this last week. All of those inputs are draining your energy. It's like having apps open in the background on your phone. That drains the energy. You're not using them, but it's there in the background. And then on top of that, we put constant input, scrolling, multitasking, always consuming information. Your brain needs space to process. Whether that's just a bit of quiet time, not in front of the TV, complete quiet time. Journaling, colouring, that allows the brain to just start calming down and processing. So many people are multitasking and then forgetting, oh, why did I come into this room? I needed to do something. Well, your brain is just made to focus on one thing deeply and then move on to the next. So keep a notepad, write down what you remembered, come back to it, sticky notes everywhere. It sounds silly, but it trains you and your brain that we're going to focus on one thing at a time. But also, you don't need to store that information. I will come back to it because I've written it down. So you don't need to keep that app open in the background. And just as a bonus, if there are going to be any supplements at all, consider creatine. Come and speak with me and I can direct you in what to get. Ensure that you're getting omega-3 and vitamin D. Have your levels checked. Get your B vitamins checked, B12 especially. For any vegans and vegetarians out there, it's imperative that you know what your levels are, because something as simple as that could be the game changer for your brain health. So let's bring all of this together in the last couple of minutes. Most people think brain health is about avoiding disease later. It's not. It's about how you feel today, how you function today. The clarity, the focus, the memory, the mood. These are all reflections of how well your brain is being supported. And please, your brain doesn't need more pressure. It just needs clean energy, stability, recovery, nourishment. A clear mind is not about trying harder, it's about supporting your brain better. So if you've been experiencing brain fog or poor memory, please don't ignore it. But also don't panic. It's not random, it's not aging, but it is a signal. And when you respond to it correctly, the brain is extremely forgiving and incredibly adaptable. Think about someone you know who's had a stroke and recovered. Somebody who's had a brain tumor and is still here, talking, walking. Start small, support your energy, and the clarity will follow. Now, as a final note, I've had several requests, which I'm so pleased about, to put on a group program, somewhere where I can guide you through the health issues that you're having, giving you direct support, coaching, plans, and I am willing to start as early as next week. However, I want hands up. I want to know who is just interested, but who is also committed. Because being interested is great, but that's where this is relevant, where all the information that you can get is relevant. But for those of you who are truly committed to making a change and want that support and guidance, I want you to reach out, whether it's commenting below or direct messaging me. Because I will work with those who are truly committed, and I'm willing to put on and put together a program that really works for you. But in the meantime, if you just want a taster and a simple plan that summarizes everything that we've covered here, something that I give to my clients for their brain fog and memory, comment brain below in the comments or send me a message and I will get that to you straight away. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so grateful that you took the time out to watch this. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Until next week, much love. Have a wonderful evening and weekend. Take care.